So, good day. Daisy and I are back from a week vacation wandering around the mines in northern Ontario. And I thought rather than do a dig video, here's me getting a target, digging it up, showing you a dirty rock at the end. I thought I'd show some of the smaller rocks and some of the other kind of interesting finds. There's a bucket of smaller rocks, a mix of minerals. That one is nickeline and perhaps some silver. You can see a touch of urethorite, which is a cobalt mineral on that one. And it looks like a little vein of silver through there. Whole collection of rocks. I do keep nickel. Of course I keep silver. There's a silver nugget. These ones have not been rinsed off, but not washed. There's silver up and through there in calcite, and who knows what's in the rest of the matrix there. So, nice little selection of small rocks. Man, I can dig those all day. This is interesting. I found a whole selection of these. I don't know what the heck it is. It's some sort of tag. It's lead. It's very soft. So I grabbed one. I left the others in the forest. Now, on the side of a hill, no lake around at all. Look what I found. A fishing spoon, of all things. It's been there long enough. The treble hook has degraded. But it's like one of those WTFs. How did that get there? And talking about how did that get there, look at this. West Coast Choppers. It's a fully intact belt buckle. I think I've seen these for sale at flea markets. So it's a current or a recent drop of some sort. And I think it's pewter. It's fairly heavy. Kind of a cool find, but again, how the heck did somebody lose that? Then, down into kind of a neat thing. Historical item. Sleigh bell. But that's kind of neat. Probably when they're running the ore out of the mines in the winter, they had sleigh bells on their horses. Lovely. Really nice. Now a couple other things I eyeballed, and we'll get to the other rocks, is look at this. There's the smallest crucible I think I've ever found. It is teeny. And here's a slightly larger one. See England down here, and then shoot, I don't know what the bigger word is. It doesn't say Nipissing, it says something else. Anyway, so they imported these from England. They probably used it for one test and then tossed it. And you can actually see the glass here. That would have been when they melted their silver, when they did their test, that would have formed mostly on the top, and they would have broken it off of the little bit of silver button that was in there. Anyway, I thought those were cool. Here, I don't know why that's my bucket, is a typical piece of nickeline, but what's not typical is, without hardly even cleaning this, now what I've used in the ones in the gold pan is just a toothbrush. You can tell it's nickel because of the green, and if it wasn't for the green stain, I would have thought that was copper. So the bronze copper color is actually nickel. Really neat. And then let's look at some silver. There's a rock with a silver plate between two pieces of rock, and it punches out the other side with a little bit. You can see it petering out here. So the plate is embedded in the rock there, but there was a minor plate just on the edge. Now, if I just wanted the silver out of this, I think if I smacked it with a hammer, it would separate fairly easily, and then I think I could just pull the plate of silver out. But I'm not going to do that. I like the look of this just in the matrix. And then talking about silver plate, here's one here. So again, this would have been wedged between two rocks. It was on the face, and somehow or another it peeled off. And rather than take it away, they lost it. Now, when I'm digging, sometimes the finds aren't the best. And that's an old piece of tin. Actually, when I dug it, I thought maybe it was a piece of silver because it was coated with a lot of clay. But that's just definitely junk. Lastly, as far as silver goes, here's a float nugget. I can see the silver, of course, but the coppery hue, that'll be nickeline. So that's a mixed metal of some sort. But kind of a neat thing. It's not very heavy. Now, something I did learn this trip. I bumped into a fellow. He's a school teacher in the area. And I had another piece like this. And he said, oh, that's Babbitt. And it explains a lot, because I find a lot of this sort of stuff. Or here's another one. And you can see it's very soft. And it's lead in this particular case. And I thought maybe it was some melting down galena, which is 15% silver, 85% lead, or thereabouts. But no, these are both examples of Babbitt. And if you're interested in Babbitt, look it up. But the Reader's Digest version of this is there was a fellow called Isaac Babbitt who back in the mid-1800s developed a way of coating bearings. And over the years they used lead, zinc, or tin. And so what would happen is in the mines, when they're running their equipment, this stuff actually melted out and just made a little puddle on the ground. And it sounds exactly like silver on a metal detector. The other piece I had, I gave to the fellow because he said he collected them. And if I see him again, I'll give him the other ones I found. Lastly, I thought this was neat. When I first got it out of the ground, I was thinking it was a fuse holder. You know, if you lay the fuses on their side. But looking at it, there's enough words here, you can maybe pull a story from it. It says, compliments of J.G. Ramsey, and I think there's an ampersand, so and probably company. What's in here is too faded, but it was 89 Bay Street, Toronto, Ontario. And then on the side, which really confuses me, is Aristo. I don't know what that says. Plating paper, maybe? PAP, and then it's covered in that. So I looked up plated paper and really didn't get much information. I tried looking up the company. There was a Ramsey and somebody else that opened a paper mill in Toronto, but I don't think it's that. And then after cleaning it off quite a bit, I thought perhaps it was like a mini Zippo lighter. On the ends here, it seems to be old hinges, so maybe it opened that way, but I'm not seeing much of a line down through here. So this thing is a real mystery to me. I probably would have tried to open it up by banging it with a hammer just on the side, because it's heavy. And even if it had something that was used for earlier, I'm wondering what the guy stored in here. Perhaps silver. Actually, if it was in the gold fields, I would have thought it'd be a container he put his gold nuggets in. So, I think I'll open this up at a later date once I've thought about how to do this. My big concern is it's almost the right size to put blasting caps side by side. And I sure don't want to get a very old blasting cap that perhaps the dynamite that was in it or the powder that was in it has turned to nitro. But I've also heard about really bad things with people futzing with something that was explosive. If you happen to know what it is, let me know. Anyway, that's the little finds from this trip, and I think in the near future we'll be able to clean off some larger rocks and see what else I found.